another 52 Comms Mixup. This is number 20, so we're almost halfway through the 52. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Everybody knows how it works. We're going to do 4 questions, 2 about your job and what you do for work, 1 about something kind of more fun, and then 1 about a cause at the end. So, by the way, awesome tree behind you. And really, I really thought I was being. Everyone see it, yeah. I really thought
it's
I was.
Christmas Wonderland in here.
It is kind of, and I thought I was being good by getting all my stuff up for holidays next weekend, but I'm being outdone by my interviewee here. So
this is the best spot in our apartment, so best lighting, obviously. So
yeah. Kind of did a good job planning that. Yeah, I can see the crew. You guys can't see the crew that she brought in to set this up, but
they're standing right behind the computer right now.
Sweet. All right, so I got my little cheat sheet over here I'm looking at. So the first question I wanted to ask you was, you graduated college a couple years ago, and we were just talking about this. You started an agency 4, right?
Yep.
Sweet, got the name right.
Everyone says Fjord, so that's a good start.
Because it is F-U-O-R, right? So
yes.
Yep. In Chicago, and now for the last month, you've been doing community management and social media at Walgreens. So tell us about, kind of that transition going from school to the agency job, and then to a corporate job. What's the experience been like? What advice would you give people who are kind of coming out of school and looking at either agency or corporate? How did you work that out in your head?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I will say at Mizzou, the journalism classes I took were great, but there were no classes on. I took one class called interactive advertising, and that's maybe the most generically titled class ever. I mean, the agenda run the gamut of everything in interactive, which kind of blows my mind, graduating college and then going to a digital agency where everything is so granular and you get so deep into things like SEO and, all this digital media, terms and slang, just running CPC ads, that kind of stuff. I never learned any of that in college. So I graduated from college, and then a week later I was in the real world. So that was a real shock for me to all of a sudden see this entire new world of digital media that I never was really exposed to in college. So if I could say one thing to Mizzou and colleges out there is that, I know it's tough. I know you have to approve classes, and I think that's a long process to go through, but even just a social media class, I think would be so useful. And I commend any student that goes out of their way to learn more about social, to take a class, maybe if it's even on campus, or take webinars. I think is invaluable. So it's tough though, because I know colleges are still catching up, but I will say I do have a few pieces of advice for grads. I think going from college speak and being a college student and then coming into the real world, especially an agency where everything is very fast paced, I picked up on things really quickly. And I think one of the things, and this is just really simple stuff, but I think it's the really simple stuff that makes the everyday and makes everything, obviously it builds your character and shows everyone what kind of person you are.
Right.
I learned a lot at my agency. I think a few things I learned: be really succinct in emails. I remember, if I look back on my emails that I wrote in college, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? 3-paragraph emails, exclamation points everywhere. And, just how I spoke in emails was just not professional.
Right.
They don't really teach that in college, but just having that basic professionalism and knowing how to speak to someone when you send an email to someone, be straightforward and to the point and succinct, and put yourself in their shoes. What I've learned is, while it might, and same goes for social media, while what might make sense in your shoes, put yourself in that person's position. If they read this email, are they going to understand what you're saying or what you're talking about? Put context around it. You can never elaborate too much, I feel in terms of something, a situation that's happening or something that's going on, or maybe if you're just showing analytics, go above and beyond and go show more than you think you need to show, because you never know what could be useful or that kind of stuff. But in terms of just sentences and talking to people, just be really succinct. Always bring a solution, not a problem, I think is something that I learned. So
yeah, sorry people, the shaking in the background, I'm doing this one from home, so the dogs are trying to get some airtime. So I think that's a really good point that you bring up though there. I can't tell you how often somebody will come in at our agency and they'll say, well, this isn't working, or this is not, this approach is not going to work. And the person leading the project will be like totally open to hearing it if they have a different route to take, and totally not open to hearing it if all they want to do is criticize it. So
yes, I feel that. I feel the same way. I feel like, you know, if you bring a problem, I think it just makes you look really insecure. Like, I don't think it makes you look like a source of knowledge, like a very confident person. What else? I had one other thing I think is really important. I think I will say, and this is a huge stereotype in our generation, and I don't want to give into that stereotype that everyone characterizes us with, but you don't know everything. I think it's when someone can listen to something and really get it, and not always feel like when they run their mouth, that's when they need to, you know, show off their knowledge and all of that. I think it's so important to.
Sorry, I'm moving while you're talking. Keep going.
Yeah, no, I think it's just important to just be a listener sometimes. And that can be really tough for some people, but I think there's a lot of value in that. So being open to criticism, like having really thick skin, I think that's something that you learn at an agency maybe a little bit more. But, you know, it's fly by the seat of your pants kind of stuff, and you have to have thick skin, and you should be grateful for anything that someone brings to you, because it's going to make you better, and who doesn't want to be better? So
yeah, but I think that's a really good point too. The way you take criticism really can define what people think about you, and how they want to work with you in the future too. Like, I think somebody that's open to it and tries to improve. I know some of my colleagues tell me all the time, one of the things they look for is, if I gave someone advice on a project in a certain area, the next time that I had a project where that came up, you know, did they show improvement? Did they learn from what we talked about the last time, or did we have to go back and have the same conversation? So
yeah,
I think that's
really funny, because I actually have a really interesting story. I think this shows, I think, how much I've grown since my college days. But when I first started, my boss at Four, who was the COO, sat me down and said, "Sam, like, everything's going well, but you keep saying
Yeah.
It's so weird. It's so weird, but you think and like are such conversation fillers. And so after she said that, I was so grateful that she said that, because then I just made this conscious effort for the next 2 days to stop saying it. And 2 days later, she came back to me. She could not believe that I had completely taken it out of my vocabulary. I worked really hard, but she could have just kept getting frustrated and never had said anything to me, and when she did, I made sure to make that change. So
that's a really good example, and I think the whole summary of, I mean, you're right, it is the little things really do define your perception of people's, and how people feel like they can work with you or can't, and what issues they have. Now, the second question I want to ask you is, you were at an agency, now you're at a corporation. So what things do you like about both scenarios, or kind of how are they different? If I'm somebody that's not sure which side I want to be on, in PR, what would you say?
Right. Well, I would say that, it's a great question, because there are a lot of differences, but I will say that coming to Walgreens, I thought the corporate side would be so different. And I think when you're on the agency side, I think you have this tendency to think that corporate sides, not very knowledgeable at times about, especially when it comes to social or emerging media. Right. I think that's a huge misconception that your clients don't know a lot. I think there are definitely exceptions to the rule where clients don't know. But in a case like Walgreens, I mean, we have people who know so much about social, and our agencies have been great. So this is not a reflection of a personal experience, but I think it's interesting going from the agency side to the client side, because here I was thinking, I'm going to teach them so much, or this is going to be such a great opportunity to really embark on the social media, these ideas and all this stuff. But I work with people who are really smart, get it way more than I do. So that's been really nice. I will say that I thought agencies, you work really long hours, and everything is really go, really, really fast. And the same way at Walgreens. So
Right.
it's weird. I don't really know. I think the one thing I would say about being at a corporation is just there's a lot more time between things. So a little bit more red tape. If I want to get something approved, it might take a little bit longer. If I have an idea to get that executed, it might take a lot more time.
Right.
So like, let's say I have an idea for something that Walgreens has to offer, like a photo deal or something like that. Then I have to go through the photo team, and then I have to go through all of these different parts of the company, which is fine. But with an agency, you can come up with that idea and then kind of visualize it, prepare it, make it really nice, and then present it.
Right.
And then the client decides, whether or not they want to move forward with it. And once you have an idea on the client side, at least for Walgreens, it takes a little bit more time. So you just have to be patient. And I'm so used to not being patient at the agency side because everything's so fast. So things are still fast, but just a little bit different.
Yeah.
And I think if you like wearing a lot of hats, like I wear a lot of hats in my agency, I think starting out in an agency was the best experience I could have ever had for myself, because I had exposure to so many different things, and now I'm able to get really specialized, but still have that background in everything that I did, I guess. So.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. That's been my experience too. Was in my corporate jobs, I had to search a little more to diversify my experience.
Yeah.
Especially at a bigger corporation. Whereas at agency, to your point, you're kind of like moving around and have a lot of opportunities to do a lot of different things. So there may be some value in that experience, even if you don't think it's where you're going to be long term. But if you're at a corporation first, definitely look for those opportunities.
Yeah,
to diversify, because
totally.
you're right. That's what it's only going to make you a more well-rounded,
Totally,
professional.
and just understanding different parts of the corporation, the company that you're working at. There's so many different levels, different kinds of people that know so much about a certain topic.
Right.
That's not necessarily advertising or marketing. So that's really intriguing to me, is those people have some valuable knowledge that might not seem directly applicable, but is just general knowledge that totally come in handy down the line. So
yeah, well, and it all impacts the customer experience.
Yep.
That was definitely what you're describing was definitely similar to my experience at Sprint, where you would meet somebody, you'd go to talk to a new group about what you were doing, through social, or what we were doing on Twitter for customer service, and you get a whole new perspective on what that meant to the, what these people did for the business. So
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So question 3, something a little more fun here. So let's play word association, because I like word association. So I'll give you a phrase that I did a little bit of research on your Twitter account and on your About Me page, and then I'll give you a word or a phrase, and then you tell me the little backstory behind it, right? So one of the things it says on your About Me page is that you're a dog lover.
Yes.
We already talked about our dogs, but tell me about why you're a dog lover. Tell me about your dogs.
I want more than anything right now my own dog, and everyone is telling me no. So, I mean, really, in reality, I don't have enough time for a dog. I mean, I work long hours. I have a commute still, being in the city. So there's no way it could happen. Would I love it? Yes, but I'm an absolute dog lover. I have 2 labs at home. They're with my parents, and they are unbelievable. And they're kind of the same age, same difference as your dogs are. We have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old.
Okay.
So we joke about our older dog Peaches because she's young. Like, she's very youthful still because of our younger dog. Still has so much energy, and yeah, I love them. So.
Okay, Peaches, and what's the other one's name?
Peaches and Blue. They're both girls.
Nice. Good
So,
names,
yeah.
good names. Okay, so cooking?
Yes, I love to cook.
Cook what?
I don't know what else there is to say.
What do you love to cook? What do you love to cook most?
Well, I'm a vegetarian, so it's been fun. I've been a vegetarian for like a year and a half now. So it's been kind of a challenge, but in a fun way, because I get to experiment with all these different kinds of foods. And there's so many, once I became a vegetarian and knew that I had to get my protein in somehow, so many different things I could cook, and I had no idea that they even existed. And it's been fun. So, and I live a block away from Whole Foods, which is absolute awful. It's so bad. I hate it because going there, I'm pretty sure the people know who I am. Yeah, so
Now you
love
don't
it.
live a block and a half away from that really huge one in the city, do you?
No, though, oh my gosh, the one in Lincoln Park.
Yeah, yeah, you know what I'm
Have
talking
you been
about,
to
right?
that one?
Yeah, that's like isn't it like the third
It's
largest
one of the
one in the?
flagships.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's one of the biggest
it's
ones in the world,
massive.
right?
It's insane. It's the biggest thing ever.
Yeah,
I
you
love
can do
it.
like you can do like wine tastings in there,
Yeah,
and they have a whole food court, and it's
wine
amazing.
tasting. They have an entire bar. Yeah, it's awesome. So
Yes, people. So if you get anything out of this interview, you need to go to the Whole Foods in Lincoln Park.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Remember that kids graduating from college, moving to Chicago, Whole Foods, Link Park, go
Gotta be
there.
there. Gotta be there.
Wait, really quick, have you been to Trader Joe's? Do you
I
have Trader
have, in
Joe's?
fact, we just got Trader. I used to live in Chicago, so my friends went to Trader Joe's a lot. I went a little bit, and we just got them in Kansas City.
Oh,
So
nice.
yeah, we started going there some more now that they've been in Kansas City now for about maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah.
they've had 2 or 3 of them open up, so it's kind of worked its way back into the routine. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's good.
That's funny that they were here when you went to school here, because I thought they were really new, but I guess not.
There were definitely a couple around because my roommates when I was in grad school in '03 were huge Trader Joe. Like they went
Oh,
there all the time. Yep.
it's news
Yeah,
to me.
they got me
Okay.
hooked on it. So
Yeah, it's awesome.
okay, Nikon D50
Yes.
18 to 55 millimeter lens. Got to cheat and read that one right off the email.
It sounds like I'm like advertising a rim for a car or something. Totally
So
not.
photography, right? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so my mom is really big in photography and she has that exact same camera. Of course, I copied her. um, but once I got a hold of it, I could not stop taking pictures. I don't know if you've ever played with the DSLR. I'm sure you have, but it's just like a different experience. And once you start to use that kind of camera, you just see the world in a different way. And that sounds really corny, but it's true. Like you see lighting differently, you see angles differently. I don't know. It's really fun to have one. And I always forget how passionate I am about it until I pick it up. And then I get really excited. But during the week when I'm working, especially now that it gets dark so early, obviously I don't pick it up just because the natural light is the best to take photos.
Right.
I love it.
So there's a couple of photos on your About Me page, but where else is there anywhere else you've loaded some of your photos or?
Yeah, I've been so bad about that. Yeah, I kind of have a Flickr account. I don't know. I wouldn't tell people to go there because I updated it maybe in 2010. I don't know. Not for a long time. I have a lot of photos on my computer, but it's weird. I just kind of take photos. It's like a leisure thing. I don't
Right.
know.
For fun. Well, I'll post
Yeah.
the link to your About Me page in the post below so people can check it out if they want to. So there's
Okay.
a couple of photos there. So last question. I can remember. By the way, I meant to tell you this. This kind of side note, everyone. But John Gray, who you met from my team at South by
Yeah.
Southwest,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's super into photography, so you guys should talk about that sometime.
Oh,
In fact,
cool.
he takes photos, does photo shoots a lot, and his photography is actually hanging up around our Fleischmann office.
No way.
And
That's
it's
awesome.
It's
I'll
very
have to talk
very
to him.
cool. Yeah, yeah. So you
I'll
guys will
tweet
have to
him.
chat. So, okay, last question's always reserved for you to tell us about a cause that you care a lot about or something you're passionate
Yes.
about. Most people talk about a charity, but not all. Some people talk about, like people have mentioned TED and things like that. So what would yours be?
Yeah, okay. So, well, I'll give you two if that's okay. Does that
Absolutely.
bring- Okay. So, I would say my biggest passion is animals. That sounds really granola, I think, but I don't know. That's part of the reason why I became a vegetarian, and I just love animals. Like my mom always jokes because when I was younger, I apparently did not like my dog. I know where that came from, but I have no idea how. But now I've blossomed into this big animal lover, and I just am so passionate about treating animals right. I have nothing against people that eat meat, of course. I tell everyone we have meat night in my family, like we have flank steak every Sunday. So, I'm not opposed to it at all, but I
Right.
just love animals so much. And even if it just means stopping like cruelty and everything that happens to animals, I would do that in a heartbeat. I would rescue like 6 dogs if I could now. And just save them. I don't know. I have something for dogs, and I just love animals. I don't really know where it comes from. And Midwest Lab Rescue is actually a it's kind of like a general shelter up here, I guess. But they
Mm-hmm.
do foster, so they don't. It's not an actual place you can go, but they have foster homes.
Cool.
And I donated there before. I'd love to volunteer sometime. I haven't done that yet, but I think I'm nervous. I'd attach to a dog and then have to take it home with me.
Yeah, I
So
hear you on
trying
that.
to stay away from that. But no, I would say huge dog lover. That's my passion, is like saving animals or just treating animals with respect and be nice to them and petting them.
Yeah.
I'd probably say I'm really passionate about. And then I think in terms of more our realm, like social, that kind of stuff, I really love Pro Blogger. It's so random. If you've ever read this book, you know who I'm talking about,
I do.
right?
I've read his blog some. I've not read his book.
Okay, well, his blog lately has been awesome. What he's doing right now is guest posts. So
Okay.
I'm pretty sure all of his posts are guest posts right now. But I love it because it brings such interesting perspective. Like instead of him trying to sell you into the idea that you need to blog, some people will blog about why you don't need a blog or why this.
Right.
They'll be devil's advocate, and I really like that. Like he's not trying to sell you in so much on that, but he's just trying to give you a very well-rounded perspective, and I appreciate that. So I don't know. I really like. He's like the one blog in my reader that I'll go back to multiple times. So
Cool. I'll have to read him more. I mean, I check him out every now and then, and I'll do it for a couple of days, and then I'll kind of like, forget about it for a while, and then I'll get back to it. So I'll have to make more of an effort to read him. I've definitely heard good things. So
yeah, no, it's just it's a lot of posts. He posts a lot.
mm.
So sometimes if I don't get my reader in a week, I'll get kind of antsy because I'll see like 52 posts.
Holy crap! Wow.
Yeah, I think that's what it is right now, actually, because I have my reader right behind Skype.
Nice.
So obviously, I haven't done it. But
so after this, you need to get to reading.
yeah, well, but I will say, I'll say one more thing too, because I think this is really interesting. My parents especially have been starting to understand the value a little bit more in social and seeing how it can help just like communities or, I think about Small Business Saturday, how so many small businesses can benefit from just social media use, and anyone can do it. But I feel like so many people who aren't savvy don't understand it, don't even know the first steps to do it. So I don't know what this is really that I'm saying, but I think there's a huge need, and I think there's huge value in someone that can speak down on a level that everyone understands, that you can speak across different kinds of people and explain the value of social and how and easy steps they can take to utilize it in every day. Because there are so many businesses. I'm from a small town in the suburbs, and so many towns could leverage social and see huge benefits from it, and no one does it. And I think that's what my mom always says, is I wish there was someone who could just explain it for people. My mom calls it phase 3. This phase 3 where I'm almost an empty nester and I want to get back into my career and I want to leverage all these tools. Who's there to explain it to me? So it's not necessarily an agency. Maybe it's a consultant, but not someone that it's so, speaks above you so much, I guess. So
Yeah, we used to. At least what makes me think of is, I used to tell people the biggest mistake I made early in my career was evangelizing social and not educating. And I think educating people about social is a lot harder.
It totally is.
Yeah, one of the things I've seen work pretty well for a couple of clients lately who are like very, very new to the space is, and I think it's been painful for the person on my team who's done it, because it's just a very process-oriented approach. But for instance, they're starting to use Twitter.
Okay.
And we could have easily like jumped in there and tweeted for them and done it all. But instead what she's done is she's literally like every day going out, finding opportunities for them to engage on Twitter or posts that they might start conversations with. And then she's like writing them up in emails with the rationalization of why they make sense. And she's emailing them to the client. But then what that forces the client to do is actually do the posting.
Totally.
And it's really interesting to hear the client talk about Twitter before they ever used it. And now 3 months later, when they've actually been out there posting and tweeting, just in that 3-month time period, because they're actually going out there and doing it, how their perception has changed. And I think for
wait, what's the perception like?
Well, if they, the beginning, I think they were just kind of like, they didn't understand how it totally worked. They were, they knew what it was, but they were kind of like, I think they thought of it more as a marketing tool. Right. And, we were trying to tell them, for instance, about how good it is to be conversational and, the networking aspect and how you meet people that way. And you don't always have to talk about your product. And I think they were kind of like, well, I don't understand why we would do that. We're really kind of focused on this one issue.
I feel like I heard the exact same. I could have said that exact quote that you just gave. I'm pretty sure I heard that from one of our clients at the last agency after that. So.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when they started doing it, it was funny, like a month into it, they reached back out to my colleague and they were like, oh, remember those off-topic tweets you were telling us to post? Like, let's talk about that again. You know what I mean? And they started awesome. Like wanting to, engage and just talk to people. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's little things like that where I can get up and explain the value of that in a meeting. Totally. But it's way, way more beneficial for them if they're actually in there, because it's just like you and I.
And they know their business best, right?
Yeah, well, and they see other people doing it, though. You know what I mean? They jump in to do...
Or they hear it, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. They kind of see others, take a certain approach, and they're like, oh, that would work for us in this way. But they'd never see that if they weren't actually in the tool doing it. Yeah. I can't remember who said it. I feel like it was on a post, maybe by Jason Falls. I can't remember who it was, or maybe it was Todd Deffrin, I think, actually. But it was like the 10 keys to helping someone understand the value of social. And number one, above all else, was like, get them to actually use it.
Yes.
And that was the whole point of it, was like, if you're an agency and you're just doing it for your clients, you're probably providing a lot of value, but you're not helping your clients see how it actually works.
Yes. What's that quote? If you teach a man to fish, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Lifetime, right?
Yeah, have you ever seen the pyramid where the pyramid in Sunday school they used to show us was like all the different levels of charity, and the top one was like teaching somebody to work for themselves.
Yep.
It's and it's the same kind of mentality. It really is. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's really interesting, and I think I think it invigorates people's passion when clients go back and they actually do the social for themselves. I think they become passionate again, all over again, about their business, because I think it shows them, what people are saying. People will give really positive feedback, or they're just having a conversation with someone who wants to talk to their company. I think is very flattering, and I think it makes them want to be better. I think it makes everything work better. That the fact that they're in it and they get to see that for themselves, as opposed to an agency just doing it.
Absolutely, because they're hearing it directly from the customer. I think you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, thanks for taking the time to do the interview. I really appreciate it. And we will put your contact info below, but you just changed your Twitter handle today, so it's Sam Ogborn,
really big deal.
I know, I couldn't find you when I was searching earlier. I was like, what the heck's going on? So it's Sam, S-A-M, Ogborn, O-G-B-O-R-N. And it sounds like you can also find her out on the Walgreens Facebook page.
Yes.
Right
we posted, we're going to have a really great holiday commercial we're posting this weekend, so we're excited. It's kind of witty, so I'm making fun of another company, so it's good. It's fun.
Well, you all have to judge if you think it's witty as well. Definitely go check it out.
It's not. I guess being on my side, I'm like, oh, haha, like I love that. I don't know. I'm hoping everyone else will have the same reaction, but it's just like a fun take on holiday stuff, especially since so many brands during this time, it's the messaging's very similar. So I think we tried to find something that set us apart, and I think we did a good job. So I'm excited.
Well, we're excited.
You'll have to tell me what you think, Dustin.
I will let you know what I think. I promise. I will be authentic and transparent.
Yes, please be engaging to our company.
There you go.